Welcome to I Wrote That, a podcast where we bring authors and industry experts together to talk about all things books and make the journey to authorship just a little bit easier. My name is Larissa Sowen, and I am the CEO of Next Page Publishing, a hybrid publishing house where we help entrepreneurs write books to grow their businesses. Now, I'm on a mission to help aspiring authors feel like they are in control of the publishing journey and that they are supported by a team of experts who genuinely want the best for them and their books. If you are in the very beginning of your journey, or maybe you have a manuscript that you're finished and you're not sure how to get it out into the world, I encourage you to reach out to us at nextpagepublishing.net. You can schedule your free discovery call and find out how our team of experts can make your journey to being a published author easy, smooth, and successful. Now, without further ado, let's get on to our next amazing guest and make your journey to authorship a little less complicated. Welcome to I Wrote That. My name is Larissa Sowen, and I am your host and the CEO of Next Page Publishing. And I'm very excited today to have our guest, Nicole Elliot, because it's going to take us a little bit outside of what we would normally talk about in the publishing realm, but still incredibly relevant. So Nicole Elliot is a copywriter, and I'm scrolling because I've lost her bio. There she is. She's a conversion copywriter and messaging strategist who specializes in human-sounding, non-salesy sales copy for entrepreneurs. She began her writing career in academia, but quickly got sick of it because it's painfully dry, stuffy, and drained of all personality. I agree. Totally agree. I just had this conversation with someone yesterday. So thankfully, she found copywriting and the chance to write like a human and has never looked back. Today, she cooks up copy with her 3-step human first messaging approach to help clients nail down the brand voice, capture their audience's actual words with extensive voice of customer research, and strategically blends the two together for a copy that connects and converts. Welcome.
Thank you, Larissa. That was quite the intro.
It's very long. Yeah, I love it. No, it's all good.
I know it's a bit long. I apologize.
It's okay. There's a lot to say about us, right? Like you got to get the full picture. So
True.
The question that comes to mind, like as soon as someone's going to be listening to this last episode and they're here as trying to learn their author skills and hone up on being an author, what does copywriting have to do and website copy have to do in relation to books?
Yeah, great question, of course. And I remember I heard this not too long ago on another one of your podcast episodes, and you phrased it really, really well when you said that your book was really just the starting point or the launching pad for the rest of your funnel and your business. And so I think if you're an author, if you're a business owner as well, since I know most of the people listening in are entrepreneurs, and you're going to be putting in all of this effort to writing, drafting, editing, launching a book, and hopefully you're getting Larissa's help for that. But it's a lot of work. And so you also want to make sure that the other elements of your business, like your website or your sales pages, even your email campaigns, although we're going to be specifically talking about website copy today, are polished and optimized and in alignment with your new book and just ready for all that potential new traffic that you're getting in. It's a bit of a lost opportunity otherwise. And I think it's also worth talking about website copy or copywriting specifically today. So it's also worth mentioning that if you are in book writing mode, that there's quite a big difference between the process for writing a book and the process for writing copy. So again, if you're really in the thick of writing a book, it can be easy to kind of lose sight of the basic principles of writing solid copy that's going to connect with and convert to your audience, especially that conversion element, which is quite different from the book. And so that's why I think it's a really solid topic for us to chat through and dive into today.
Yeah, I think it's so closely aligned with the ecosystem program that we have, right, where we help our authors create the funnels and things like that. Because yes, we can write the absolute best book and it tells the most compelling stories and it builds this huge connection. But if you don't have that conversion in mind of like, what are they going to do after the book? How are they going to get into your website? So even at the end of our book, we usually have like a work with me section, which is it's copy, right? It's conversion copy. It's exactly what you're talking about. So that's step one. And then step two is your funnels and it's your website and all of these things. So when it comes to trying to create this linear chain, so they go from Amazon, hopefully we've got a funnel before that, but they go, let's say from Amazon into your book, they spend multiple hours reading you, they love your content. We invite them in with the work with me section or however you're going to end up doing that. What is one of the first things that needs to pop up on their website that like to grab their attention to even keep going?
Oh, well, unfortunately, there's probably not just one answer there. The short answer is that it's going to vary. But I would say on website copy and on a homepage specifically, you want someone to be able to identify, like just within the very first second. So above the folds, before they've even had to scroll down at all on your website, you want them to be able to identify whether or not this is for them. So that might be, a reason to include somewhere near the top, like who specifically you work for, and just give them make sure they can understand very, very quickly what it is that you do. Because I see a lot of websites that kick off with kind of vague or, very inspirational or big promise headlines, but it takes them a long time to actually get to the point, if you will. And, again, maybe in a book, this is why I mean some of the differences between book writing. Like books kick off with stories because you're trying to connect. It can kind of take a while to get to the meat of it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But copy, you don't have a lot of room to work with. So you want people, people are going to click off if they're not interested. So just let them realize very quickly whether or not it's for them and help them understand quickly. You don't have to understand all the specifics of your service, but at least understands what it is, who you are, how you help really, really quickly when they first land on the page.
That makes a lot of sense. And I know SEO runs a lot on the first bits of the page as well, right? Like it tries to pull its data from the very beginnings of the page. So
Mhm.
that's very interesting. That's where I fall down. I will fully admit I'm going to take your advice and I'm going to go back to my website and I have to rework it anyways, but it is, right? It's a playful video that says like welcome to my world and it's beautiful and it looks great, but you're right, it doesn't tell them anything. And so if
Mhm.
they're landing there for the first time and they're avoiding the scroll, like a lot of us try to do, I don't want to read, I want to know immediately, they're missing out. So that's great advice. My second question is, again, this is very, I'm just picking your brain as like, coach me through my website, please.
Yeah, do it. That's what I'm here for.
What is the take on pop-ups? I personally hate pop-ups, but I use pop-ups on my website. So what's your take on that?
I think that there's a time and place for them. I think you also, want to set it up so that way people aren't necessarily getting a pop-up every single time they land on your website. But I think, a well-intentioned exit pop-up, they do work for better or worse. And the important thing is really that you're making the copy compelling and interesting. So for example, let's say you want to promote your new book, rather than just having your pop-up say, new book alert or new book published, unless you already happen to have a wait list and for a fact you have an audience who is expecting you to be sharing this launch. Lead more with something like the benefit that's going to grab the attention. So maybe you're asking a question about a specific pain point that gets their attention. You're like, oh, are you losing sleep over, well, it sounds a little bit cheesy, but something along those lines, over XYZ, whatever that pain point is. Or mention something like focus on a big benefit, like let's say you wrote a book, you're a business coach and you wrote a book about helping people build burnout free businesses or what have you, have a really strong benefit focused headline that says something like, build the burnout free business of your dreams. Grab my new book for more, something like that. So
Yeah.
just make sure you're saying something that's interesting and avoid angry red text, avoid excessive exclamation pointing, please. Especially that was like when the internet kind of first kicked off, there's a lot of that direct response style copywriting, which you still see a lot in certain industries. Yeah, but just don't make people feel annoyed, right? Like if they say, okay, this isn't for me, they click off. But
Right. Yeah.
there's a right way to do
So,
it.
so for my website, for example, I could say, are you tired of feeling, or are you overwhelmed by the idea of writing a book? Well, here, check out this resource. That could
Yep.
be my pop-up. Okay.
hmm
Very
Yep. And it's
cool.
not necessarily a question that's like going to cause people a lot of shame, for example, because you can also poke a little bit, too hard if you want. So I think, yeah, that's a perfect one that people can
Excellent.
relate to as
I
well.
know what I'm doing after this. Thank you. So the next question is, it's really hard for authors to think little. And what I mean by that is my authors come in and they write 30,000 words with me over the span of 4 or 5 months. They're used to thinking big picture. How, asking for a friend, or i.e., I am the friend. How do you condense a 30,000 word book into copy for a website?
That is the tricky bit, honestly. And that's a huge problem I see, not just with authors, but a lot of my clients. I think, especially if you think about how we are taught writing in school, we're taught to fluff things up a little bit. Again, not saying anyone that they're writing the book. I'm not accusing you of fluffing. I'm just
But
saying
you
we're
do,
encouraged to
you do.
yeah,
Yeah.
add a lot of things in there and give all of the details and back up everything and add the examples. And yes, you are going to want to do that within website copy, but you take like your average website page, it's going to be between 500 to 8,000 words max, whereas a book is tens of thousands of words. So I would say, if anything, it probably just has to be a totally different shift in how you're approaching it. So we'll assume that you're writing the website copy for your business at large, not specifically for
Mhm.
the book, although you might have a pop-up for the book or a specific landing page. Um, and so I think you kind of have to go back to a lot of foundations and just figure out, well, what do I want each individual page to accomplish? So for example, we'll take an about page because I see a lot of issues with about pages. I ask people what they want the about page to accomplish, and they just say, "Oh, tell my story," or "Oh, someone told me I had to put up an about page because it's the second most read page on a website," which is a true fact.
Wow.
Um, but that's kind of their logic behind it. Whereas the actual goal is really to, well, share your expertise, connect with the readers, what have you. But then you're trying to pull them onto a different page. So, you write your about page and you say, okay, someone has read through my story, my qualifications, we've connected a bit. I've also hopefully talked about how specifically I can help because a lot of people kind of just leave that off. Their story just kind of like ends. They don't specify what they're doing today. And then include like a logical call to action, taking them to the page that's going to make the best sense after all the things they've now read on your about page. So maybe that's inviting them to book in a free consultation or taking a look at your work, like if you have samples, or joining your email list, or signing up to attend your free author summit, whatever it might be. You want to just make sure. So you say, okay, that is the goal of this page. And then the goal of the work with me page, for example, is maybe to have them book that free call. And so you start with what that goal is, and then you kind of work backwards. So you're not necessarily starting, at least this is how I like to do it. I'm not necessarily starting with the headline and what I want to communicate about my business, which is actually maybe something for us to talk about next, not just focusing on what you want to say about your business, but focus on what the end goal of the page is and then work backwards. Okay, so what do people have to see in order to believe this, in order to feel confident taking the next step?
Okay. All right, you planted the seed. So we're going to come back after this quick break and I'm going to ask you, what should I actually, if it's not what I want to say, what should I actually be saying? So we'll be right back with that question. Attention, all aspiring authors. Are you ready to turn your book dreams into reality? Look no further than Author Allies, your ultimate companion on the journey to becoming a published author. Picture this: a membership site that offers structure, accountability, skill development, and unwavering support to bring your book ideas to life. That's exactly what Author Allies provides. Dive into weekly writing workshops where you can focus on your goals and stay motivated. Need expert advice? Our monthly Ask the Expert sessions connect you directly with industry professionals for valuable insights. Engage with fellow members through our Beta Reader Switch program, perfect for refining your manuscript before publication. Get access to a list of our verified resources so that when it's time to edit, design, and publish your book, you know where to turn. You can also enhance your craft with our writing training modules. Complete the exercises designed to elevate your skills and participate in the challenges. And as an added bonus, you can enjoy exclusive discounts on our future programs to help you streamline your publishing services. And if you're looking for a little bit more personalized advice, you will have access as a member to our one-on-one coaches to provide tailored support from our experienced professionals. Your literary dreams are within reach within our community of like-minded authors and expert guidance. Visit nextpagepublishing.net to join the membership and create a community around you and your book that guarantees your success. Okay, we are back with Nicole Elliot, who is a copywriting guru from academia background and said, "Ick, no, thank you. I want to actually communicate like a human." And she's made an entire career out of it. So the question when we left just before the commercial break was, I have an agenda when I'm doing my copywriting. I know what I want these people to know, but you're saying that's actually not the primary text that should be going on. So walk me through, if it's not what I want to say, what should I be putting on there?
Yeah, so maybe if I can just kind of like lead with a bit of a misconception about copywriting and what goes into good copy, website copy, sales page copy, what have you. A lot of people think that copy is just about putting pretty words on a page, but something like you write nice words, people will come type of situation. But the truth is, if you want effective copy, or namely copy that is going to connect and convert your audience, then your copy needs to be strategic and backed up by audience research. So that is often the missing ingredients, if you will. But if I take a bit, I'll go ahead and talk about kind of the two core ingredients I see as essential to copy. And so the first one is going to be one that's going to be very familiar to your authors, because I'm sure they've spent a lot of time honing this in. And that is going to be the brand voice and just kind of like the overall positioning. And so that's going to include things like the brand voice, personality, the value proposition, the words you use versus words to avoid, taking a look at the competition to see what types of differentiators you should focus on when it comes to talking about your business. Whether you call your offerings a program versus a course versus a methodology, how you specify and define your specific process. And if you are, say, like a coach, you have a specific process and you haven't given a name to it, give it a name and start incorporating that in your sales calls, put it on your about page. People love names. It adds lots of authority. It makes it fun to talk about. Even in my intro, you mentioned I have a 3-step human first messaging approach. So highly recommend there. So that's all one side of the coin. And that's really going to be kind of the side in your copy that is going to connect with your audience on the human level. But at the end of the day, as important as I'm sure we all think human connection is, you're a business owner and you also want conversion. And so that is something that's going to come by using the actual language of your audience. So to kind of put it simply, your brand voice helps you connect with your audience, and it's the audience language that's going to help you convert. Now, when it comes to getting this audience language, personally, I love to conduct interviews. So I usually interview my clients for whoever I'm writing with. And then when I'm doing this, I ask questions about, their pain points, their hesitations that almost prevented them from working with my clients, the different ways they are actually using the product or service of my client, maybe features that surprise them the most, major questions they had beforehand, the benefits, the results they've seen, we go quite deep. And then I kind of look for patterns to see what types of actual language and examples are coming up again and again. So you're looking for these patterns, and looking for also things like sticky language that's standing out to you, things that are different from what else you're hearing out there. So, for example, I was working with a client of mine. He's a consultant, strategic planner, like a CFO, like a not an outsourced CFO, fractional CFO. I can't think of the up-to-date terminology these days. But one bit of language that I got from one of his clients that I spoke with is that someone said that working with name of my clients is like having a quote second in charge CEO. And we're like, oh, that's very interesting. It's also very specific. It helps people see that he's more than just, kind of his job title. And so we use that as a headline, and it's worked really, really well. And if you don't feel comfortable conducting these client interviews, there's a lot of other ways you can get audience insights. You can take a look at Facebook groups where your audience is hanging out, subreddits, if there's other entrepreneurial communities you're in, even reviews on other platforms. So there are alternatives, but just make sure you are spending the time thinking like your audience.
I think there's so much gold in what you just said that you've got all my brain wheels turning. All three of them are going up there. And I think you do what we do. So in the very beginning of our full book program, we look at who our ideal reader is. And the reason we do that is one, we need to know what problems they're facing, but we also need to know what their hangups are, why they're not taking action, and what language they're using. So, but I think you're taking it to the next level. Like it's so in depth with the interviews and the partnership, and I think it's so good. You have really nailed that aspect of your business. Well done. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
My
It's
next
taken me a long
question.
time to get
Yeah,
here,
I
so
bet
I
it did.
appreciate
I
that.
bet it did. Even to have the confidence to go out and ask is
Mhm.
scary because sometimes it's like, well, what if you don't like what they say? Right? What if you,
Yeah, yeah.
But it
to
can
give
also
you
be,
really good insights though when you
I
don't
was
like what
just
they
gonna
say. You can be
say,
like, this is how I make things better, you know?
exactly. Yeah, it's beautiful. I know asking for feedback is always really hard, especially if
Mhm.
it's on our books or if it's on our websites, if it's on our services. That's like deep ingrained. Like that's me, right? So
Mm,
much of my programs is me that it can be really
mhm.
scary to ask for that feedback. But in the end, it's always gonna make us better. If we let it, right? If we don't take it internally, if we don't take it personally, and it's just an opportunity for growth, yes. Okay, my next question, and you are probably just as sick as talking about it as I am, and we are going to continue talking about for the next 10,000
Oh,
years, is
I know
AI.
what's coming. Yep. As soon as you said
Well,
that, yeah.
I'm getting to the spot where I can spot AI from a mile away. And
Yep.
that's really important as a publisher to be able to be like, you didn't write this. It sounds like a
Yeah.
bot. When it comes to our copy, you're probably facing the same challenges I am. I could hire you as a copywriter, or I could go to ChatGPT. How are you
Mhm.
handling that right now?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if someone is really, really set on, doing it themselves using Chat GPT, there's only so much I can do. But I can say, like you, I can spot it from a mile away. And at least, obviously, I mean, AI can do incredible things. Like I use it to help me with audience research and kind of synthesize things down. I use it to help me give like headline variations or subject line variations if I'm really stuck on something. It's like the best thesaurus I've ever found. Like it just gives you, variation after variation after variation. But I have yet to see it produce anything that actually comes across as unique or different. So I've seen a lot of AI generated copy. I've had clients come to me with generated copy and some, they want edits or what have you. And there's a lot of sameness. It's not really, I mean, AI primarily, well, I'm not an AI expert. Um, but what it's doing now, it's doing a great job synthesizing everything else that is out there, which is why it sounds so much, it's a lot of sameness, but it's not necessarily giving anything unique. Or if it gives something unique, it's either incorrect since it likes to make up facts from time to time, or it's not fully coherent. And it's still not factoring in that overall like audience journey and the actual audience language and insights that I was talking about before. So I think that what is happening is now we're just seeing more and more repetitive copy. I mean, even if not everyone, we're really entrenched in paying attention to words and stuff, so we're going to pick up on it really quickly. But I think everyone listening is probably seeing it, but not necessarily, even if they're not picking up on it. Like on LinkedIn, you see it everywhere. Even people like commenting on LinkedIn um, posts, the comments are all coming across the same thing. They always use the same like discover or unlock or unleash. It's
Unleash.
a lot of those.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah. And those are the words that trigger me. That for AI loves the word authorial, the authorial journey. I hate it. I
Okay.
hate it so much. Sometimes it slips through because I do use AI to write copy.
Hmm.
I am a work smarter, not harder. Not that that's right, that's
Hmm.
wrong, but I don't have time to create copy for all of my stuff. But anytime, if you
Yeah, yeah,
see
it
authorial
happens.
on my website, you can know for
Yeah.
100% that is not me. I would never say that word. And
Mhm.
I've tried to take it out. I've tried to train ChatGPT, please stop using this word.
It just refuses. It has a mind of its own.
It's
Ooh.
like, no, it's a good word. I'm going to keep using it. And I'm like, yeah, but I hate
Mm.
it. So, okay. This was absolutely wonderful. I have a million more questions that I want to ask you offline because I think you could do wonderful things inside my website. But how do people get a hold of you? How do they work with you?
Sure. Well, I have a website, Nicole Elliot, Elliot with two L's, two T's, .co. You can also find me on LinkedIn, which I'm sure Larissa will be nice enough to drop in. I obviously have done for you copy projects, but I also have audits. I also have a free guide. Is now the time to talk about that?
Yes, it is. Please
Yeah.
do.
Okay, great. So I have a free website copy guide called, it's kind of a long title, but works well. 5 quick steps you can take today to give your website copy a connection and conversion boost. Since I know when I talk through a lot of these tips and things today, like it comes across as kind of, intangible and a bit hard to imagine. Like, okay, Nicole, that sounds great in theory, incorporate audience language. What does that actually look like? The guide will give you some actual specific examples. And I also have recently started hosting live copy review sessions once per month. And so it's just $9. Even if you can't attend live, you can submit your copy ahead of time and you just bring me your copy, whether that's your website copy, your landing page copy, maybe even an email that you want to share to your list before you tell them all about your awesome new book. And you can get it reviewed by me. So you can get some recommendations on clarity, conversion, connecting with your audience, all that fun stuff. And so that'll be in my Eventbrite page profile. You'll just have to scroll down a little bit to see current event dates, but you'll find that every month.
Sounds great. So NicoleElliott.co. And I will put the links. Everything will be in the show notes so you can grab it there as well. Thank you so much, Nicole. This is absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of I Wrote That. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to our show so you don't miss any of our upcoming guests. And if this has led you to some inspiration to want to get started on your own authorship journey, whether you just have an idea or you have a manuscript that you're ready to publish, reach out to us at nextpagepublishing.net, and we will match you up with our team of experts to make the journey simple, easy, and smooth.